All right. Welcome to Shabbat Lounge. This is Matt.
And Jake.
And we want to thank you for stopping by and taking a minute to listen. And as always, we ask you to comment, to like, to rate our podcast channel, and share this with someone that you think might find it interesting. I do appreciate those of you that have rated the channel. We have 5 stars in iTunes. Thank you very much for that. And so Jake, we're going to start something new. And Jake, can we be honest?
I wish we could, Matt. I really do.
So you wrote this, and what do you mean by can we be honest?
Well, basically, I was just, I think about some things now and then, and things pop in my mind, and it's like, I think a lot of people that happens to, but it just disappears into the ether. But I am in a position where I can just jot those thoughts down real quick, and a lot of times it's stuff that's obvious, and people just don't say it for some reason. So I started putting a list together of things where it's like, can we be honest? And then you say the thing, and then after you say the thing, you go, there, I said it. So
very good.
Then people know it's out there, and people aren't sitting on it anymore.
Right, get it off their chest. Well, so we're going to start sprinkling this in between episodes, and so these are going to be short and sweet, and so we'll just dive right into it. So
yeah, just some observational. Some might be humorous.
Yes.
Some might be controversial.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
So one day we can take this on the road and have our own stand-up
yes.
comedian show.
Yeah, that's the plan. That was the plan all along.
Yes, our Netflix special.
Yeah.
So we may have to work on a few things before we go there.
Well, that's this. This is the trial run.
Yes, that's right.
If we get enough views.
Yes, we'll see.
So let's start with the first one here. Matt, can we be honest? When Christians say that the Bible calls it Easter, the word replacement is not referencing the resurrection. It's referencing the Passover. It's the crucifixion. There's a slight contradiction there.
Yes, very good. Yep, very, very true.
So stop changing the words in the Bible, please. There, I said it. So this one is... So early on in Torah, I was reading through and I'm like, it says Easter right here. It was like before I was actually like doing Torah. It was like my study this out phase. And I was like, well, it says Easter right here. That's kind of weird. And then I'm like, I didn't know about like, well, you got to look at the word and history and all this stuff. But then I look it up and I'm like, oh, well, it's not even talking about the resurrection. When they replace the word Easter, they're actually talking about Passover, the crucifixion. So even the use of it is opposite.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, the same thing is with the quote unquote Lord's Supper. That's not what I thought it was, and that also was Passover.
Right. All right. So the next one. Can we be honest? All right. So the selling point for Patriot Mobile and things like that is that instead of your money going to where the big companies send their money to, like, Planned Parenthood and things like that you conservative folks might not agree with.
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Right. All that stuff. So the selling point is that they don't give their monies to those organizations. They give their money to the same causes you believe in. Can we be honest? Just stop giving my money to people and reduce the cost on the bill for me. If I want to support a cause, I'll send my money to them.
Yeah.
Don't decide for me. Let me just do it myself, and then my phone bill will be less. So that would help me.
Yes, maybe you should start a phone company.
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I might have a friend that could help me in that.
Maybe.
So, all right. Now this one's reaching back a little, but it still comes up as relevant, okay? And you can see it on people's Twitter feeds and stuff like that. So I'll give you a little bit of lead up, and then I'll hit you with my "Can we be honest?" Okay? So remember, a couple years ago, there was a bombing in Sri Lanka, with like churches and hotels, and it's as Christians were celebrating Easter, right? And so we just looked in on Twitter. Someone's like, "Well, last year we couldn't. We were bombed at Easter, and this year we can't even attend Easter because of the virus and all this." Well, so, and then the big hype there, the media was saying they didn't call them Christians, because you can't say that Christians were hurt, because then you'll sympathize with the Christian whom the media doesn't like in the first place. Mm. So they said, they called them Easter worshippers. There was a bombing of Easter worshippers. And everyone came out and they're like, "That's right. I'm an Easter worshipper," because they're putting it in the face of the media. But can we be honest? If you're celebrating Easter, well, Ishtar, as it's known, then yes, you're an Easter worshipper.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. There's truth in what they're saying, and they have no idea.
Right, the media's right, and they didn't even know it. Mm-hmm. And then, so there, I said it. So, can we be honest? The argument's always, well, we're saved by faith. And then if I say, well, so were they. They were saved by faith as well. Then the other person would agree, right? Well, yeah, they were saved by faith. Their faith saved them too.
Right.
So, therefore, they were sanctified by faith, just as we are, but they needed to keep a standard, and we don't. So, you see where I'm going with that one?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Even though they were saved by faith, there was a standard. We're saved by faith, and there's agreement in all three of those positions, but it's if this, then that, mm-hmm. Right? Transitive property, and it just doesn't follow through for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good.
And then I think this one's kind of funny, and I think a lot of people should see where this is going, but so there was this movie that came out. Have you heard of The Avengers?
I have, and those are movies I generally, no offense, but I generally sleep through them. And so I hope if you are very passionate about that, yeah, they don't hold my interest very well.
You don't like a bunch of false gods, like overpowering,
ruling
the world?
Usually the storyline is I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's the storyline.
Oh, but, look at that. The good guys won. Who could have guessed?
Well, actually, it's not the storyline, but they mess it up with too much dialogue and love story and stuff and I'm just like, no, just make it action, make it an hour and a half long, and just blow a bunch of crap up. I'm good with that. But don't...
Stop making me think.
Yeah, well, they don't even make me think, but even that was some of my gripes with the Transformer movies and things. They would have these weird sidelines about the love story, love interest. I'm like, I don't care.
I want to watch this thing transform into 10 different things.
I want it to blow stuff up.
Yeah.
For an hour and a half. And to me, that's my problem with Avengers, is they're too long. Because you can only blow stuff up for a short window, really. But just leave the rest of the story out of there and just make it all crazy, blow stuff up.
Right. Well, it's always grander.
Then I'm in.
Yeah. It's always grander and grander, right? Bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. Well, so I'm sure people are aware that when Endgame was coming out, it was, everyone was all about it, right? And it's going to break all the records, right? But can we be honest? They put it in more theaters than any other movie ever. It opened in China and in the U.S. at the same time. They're running it when it was in theaters, they ran it constantly with multiple screens in a 24-hour loop. So this movie never stopped playing at the theater. So what other movies could have made that kind of money by having that same treatment given to it, right? Like Star Wars trilogy. I'm not a big Star Wars guy, but it had big numbers. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you ran it like that, don't you think that probably...
Yeah, even Ernest Goes to Camp.
Yeah.
Might have had
right.
a lot more viewers.
Right.
You didn't see that one coming, did you?
No, but I'm with you. I'm with you there.
But yeah, the point is, even if you took a really bad, terrible movie, and doesn't matter, you could pick the worst movie ever and do that to it, and it would outperform a lot of movies, a lot of really important, big movies, if you did the same thing to it.
Right.
And if you did that long enough over time, you'd have, because he would just naturally have more views.
Right.
And there's more people on the planet than there were back in the day when some of those other movies, and no one ever talks about that. So many
more. Yeah, no one talks about that. So many more people nowadays.
And so much more ability to view these things too. Because think about today when something's released, you can go buy a physical copy, you can do a digital download, you can go see it at the theater. With Gone with the Wind, you only saw it at the theater when it came out. And
right.
Then, they did have it recorded later, but there's some, younger generations don't tend to go back and look at the film like that, and they don't really want to watch it. My children don't want to watch some old story like that. It looks old to them.
It's grainy.
Yeah, it's grainy.
It's not HD.
Yeah. So there's a lot of factors there that they don't tell you.
And so many more people now have the means, right? We're a richer culture now, right?
Yeah.
The money just keeps getting printed. So.
It was a real treat to go to the movie theater at one point. That was something you worked real hard to do, and you saved your pennies, and it was a deal.
And you could have got a gumdrop, maybe, if you were good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just an old-timey...
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe your parents gave you a gumdrop.
It's just an old-timey candy that I thought of, I guess. But
yeah, if I was really good, I got to pee in the bathroom, and I didn't have to pee in the cup.
What? Is that what you told them at work?
No.
When you were trying to get a job?
Yes.
Well, if I'm good, do I get to pee in the bathroom, or do I have to use this cup?
Because when my family went to the movie theater growing up, that was when, if you had to go to the bathroom, it's like, here boy, pee in the cup.
Oh man.
So I guess you never experienced such a thing. Same thing would happen on a road trip, going down the road.
Yeah, road trip makes sense because it's just your family around usually.
Yeah. Well, this is. I should clarify that this is at a drive-in movie theater.
That makes more sense.
No, yeah.
I thought there was some Pee Wee Herman things happening.
No, I hope not. No, this was in the movie theater in the car.
Okay, so. That makes so much more sense. Wow. This took a turn. Can we be honest, Matt?
Yes.
That was uncalled for. There, I said it. Alright. No, for real, though. So, back to... Here's another a Torah one. Can we be honest? When someone says keeping the law is bondage, they're essentially saying not being able to sin is bondage. They're saying... It's not fair that I should try to live up to a standard, right? So you're holding me back by telling me I can't sin. I can't break the law. It's there, I said it.
No, that's good. Yeah, and you definitely see that in today's culture and just from recent events, and this will be dated, but all the riots, that's lawlessness carried out.
Yeah.
And so that can't be the kind of approach we're supposed to have, that it doesn't take much thinking about it to realize that that can't be right to approach it that way. But the way I've always looked at it is, I didn't understand, and I think that's where most people are. And when we start following this, and the first thing you do for most people is you observe a Sabbath, and so you don't do any work and you rest. That's not bondage. And then you do feast, and there's 7 feasts, and you're basically, some of them you're even commanded to be joyful, and some of them you take multiple periods of time off. You take multiple days off. You're not supposed to work. You're supposed to eat a meal together. That's not bondage. That's easy. That's joyful.
Yeah, it's what people are seeking to do.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it's built right in there. So people say that, and they don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I've said that myself, and it's strange. It's when you're on the other side of the looking glass, and it's so clear.
Yes, the Alice in Wonderland. The other thing that is, that you hear people say is talking about their children, and the analogies of, raising their children to live under rules and to be obedient. And, that to me is a good place to start that discussion and ask them about what their rules and expectations are for their own children, and why don't they just let them run amok?
Yeah, well, similarly, the laws of the nation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I've gone the route of, so I've heard the backfire on what you're talking about. It's, well, eventually you grow up and your parents the rule maker anymore, right? And it's like, well, do I then forget everything I learned? It's the school teacher, right? Analogy from Galatians. Mm-hmm. But you don't just forget what your parents taught you. It's still not good to, spoil your dinner with cookies. It's
run out.
Good
it's still not a good idea to run out in the middle of a freeway.
Right. Mm-hmm. Even though you've outgrown your childhood home.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's good. Laws are good.
Yes. We like boundaries. All right. So, can we be honest? We can't say that the law stopped with Yeshua's death and resurrection, and then turn around and at the same time use Yeshua's refuting of the Pharisees to say the food laws no longer apply. There, I said it. Yeah. So, if you're going to say that Yeshua's death on the cross did away with the requirement of the law, then you can't go back when he's still, before he's ever been put on the cross, and say, see, he said, you don't have to do this. Otherwise, he's saying, he didn't say, well, later when I die on the cross, you don't have to do this.
Right, yeah.
That
he never says that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
And that was all I had today for Can We Be Honest? Matt, any final thoughts?
Nope, that was good. Thank you.
And if you have any of your own Can We Be Honest type observations, put them in the comments, let us know somehow, and if we deem it worthy, then your voice will shine through the interwebs as our voice, and perhaps we'll include it.
Yes, awesome. Well, as always, we appreciate you taking time to stop by and listen. And as always, we thank you for listening to Shabbat Lounge, and ask you to leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, and we will see you later. Thank you.
Bye.